you, welcome to Geekism, or welcome to this overview of the scenery included in the Toybox Pack for Planet Coaster 2. That's right, welcome back to another scenery overview. We do one of these for every DLC pack. We're going to take a look at all of the new stuff that comes in. Not the rides, just the scenery, and, a couple of other bits and bobs like the entertainers here as well. No new path, but we do have new stuff to go on the path. First of all, the benches are in the shape of erasers with... there's a little wooden trim on the bottom of them. They are a British company, Frontier, so they do call these rubbers. You get your jokes out in the comments now. That is what we call them in the UK, but these are erasers. And to fit the crafty theme that runs throughout the pack, the dustbin there, the trash can is a pencil sharpener, which is pretty cute. The pencil fence along the back there. There's a second fence as well, which is like just a toy fence, I suppose. The theme across this pack is toys shrunken down to toy size. So these are like toy pieces, but they make a good fence. Actually, these would be quite good at just like a general barrier fence, plastic barrier fence. I think these actually could work quite well, especially if you get the color tone just right. There is a lamppost as well. This doesn't have to stay on the path, but I always show off the lampposts as part of the path. And then the seating area is a button and some wooden shapes. Nice and plain, but very much part of a toy set theme. The new character then is called Max. I forget their last name. Max Storm Rage, I think it is, and it's sort of a classic 90s toy, even to the point where their faces, it is a plastic helmet they're wearing. There's no motion in the faces at all. There is still a male and female version, but it is wearing a mask. They always come out looking like this with this skin tone and this hair color, respectively. Interestingly, though, which I think is quite a cute thing, I'm just going to come out of camera mode for a second. Because their faces are a mask, you can't see any emotion for the member of staff that's in there, so their emotions are actually shown through this screen that's sat on their chest. So for instance, if we take Stormcloud here, Max Stormcloud, and fire them... Oh, they just disappear because they've got nowhere to go. Okay, never mind. I thought they were going to have a sad face here, but they do. They have a sad face. And they have an angry face if they need a break and that kind of thing. You can see their face, see their emotions. They wear their emotions on their chest, not their sleeve. Let's just say that. Next up is the wall set. There's just a single wall set, this time, and it is a cardboard theme, as you can probably tell. Sort of a plain corrugated cardboard wall set, and on the edges it has the interior of the wall of the cardboard here. It's all there. I haven't placed down all the pieces. This just gives you a selection. There's also a huge selection of non-gridded pieces to go with it as well, including a lot of big shapes here. The 1, 2 and 4 meter squares, a round-ish circle that I think really looks round when you zoom right in, and then like a wonky shaped version, a couple of other little bits here, some cloud shapes. As a wall set, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. I think it looks like cardboard, and unless you have a use for that, I don't think it's going to be a texture that will play as much else. Maybe you could grate down a little bit and it'll just look sort of like a corrugated metal, but as the most part for a wall piece, I don't see myself building many buildings out of this. But these non-gridded pieces, or even the gridded pieces to an extent now, because you can rotate on the grid, are going to be a little bit more useful just as sort of an interesting texture for smaller pieces. To go onto those walls, we have lots of doors and windows. Actually quite impressed with these this time. Obviously they have a toy vibe to them, but they are still quite nice and plain. I think, again, with the right color scheme, obviously a lot of this stuff here is very bright colors to go with the toy theme, but all of it is very recolorable. I think you can actually take some time and come down with these and make them pretty useful windows and doors outside of that theme. I do want to say this before I move forward. A lot of the time I'm going to be talking about this stuff outside of the theme that it comes in the base model. You can build a toy area with this. You can build a Toy Story style zone where you've been shrunken down. But I feel like that should be fairly self-explanatory. So here, what I do in these scenery overviews is take a look at how we can use some of the pieces in other themes, or just a new theme that isn't even part of the game itself as well. So I'm looking for the genericness of the pieces, or the usability of the pieces, perhaps more than anything else. Obviously you can make a cool looking toy box area with this stuff. That's what it's designed for. But I like to look at the real fun for Planet Coaster for me is reusing these pieces and reconstituting them and using them in different ways. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So with that in mind, I think this is quite a nice townhouse door. I think these, again, in a decent colour could just be good utility style doors as well. These ones are pretty good too. And the windows, again, this is quite a nice sort of townhouse style window, again with an awning over it. That would look really great. The rest of the windows are a little bit a niche, and then the same for the awnings here for the shop fronts. I love this one with the pens, the crayons popping out of the top. I think that's really great. And then this one's more like a sort of Meccano set. A lot of the stuff in this set, it's like it's close to an IP but not quite, so a lot of this stuff kind of has a bit of a Lego vibe, but obviously it isn't Lego. It has a bit of a Playmobil vibe but isn't Playmobil, you know, so you can kind of see where they're going with this sort of a generic construction block toy game, bringing it night briefly to show you the lights. There's a couple of real nice ones here. There's this one that sort of throbs, misses. There's a sort of police top of a police car. There's a nice generic torch one. This single torch one also is very nice as well. And then these ones, these are really good. You can recolor these. They kind of look like the old Simon toy, if you remember that. I'm perhaps showing my age a little bit there with the Simon toy, but that's kind of the vibe I get from these. But again, nice and generic enough that you could use these as warding lights and just sort of like ambient lighting in general. There's also a couple of... Oh, let me jump back to daytime. Oh, as if by magic, there we go. There's also a couple of pieces here that aren't actually lights themselves, but come under the light category. A couple of little connecting pieces here that will hold the lights. These are very, very useful. And there's a traffic light piece as well here that doesn't actually have lights in it, but you can sort of place these in there, or maybe one of the other sort of planar lights that we already have in the game. I think people are going to have real fun using these on their streets. There's a few other pieces as well that'll go really well for streets. The signage is all really good fun. Obviously really, really leaning into the theme. Whether or not you'll be able to use much of this outside of it, I'm not sure, but I do think it's really good. There's also a new font in the game called Sunshiny, a nice sort of curly handwriting font. This is all of it in capitals. Here it is in lowercase, or capitals and lowercase. I think that's really quite cute. That's a good looking font. I like that. The signs here to look like keyrings. These are all separate pieces. Nice little piece of chain here, very useful. And then the big signs here is a post-it note and sort of the top of a toy, I guess, that's been teared open. Very niche, but you know, if you want to build into this theme, these are really good fun. This is an interesting pile of goop. It's Play-Doh, although they can't use the word Play-Doh. I think they call it actually, I don't know what they call it. What do they call it? Let's have a look. This is called clay. Oh, it's just clay. Toy clay. Yeah, I mean, it is a clay, really, but, you know, it's Play-Doh. Recolorable. Quite useful, I think. It's a little big, but, it'll scale down nicely. It's just good to have like organic shapes, organic textures. You want to build sort of like slime in a fantasy space or something like that. I think this is quite good. I also think maybe you can sink these down. You'll get quite cool looking fake rocks if you color it a sort of grey color. I actually quite like this as a set. Some of the pieces are quite a weird shape, but I think overall there's definitely some usable pieces here. I think this grey and sunk down will give you a real nice sort of stepping stone kind of thing. I think that's good fun. Next up then is it's just a pile of stuff. This section here is referred to as like skyscraper construction, and then this stuff here is just called like toy pieces, and they're all very random. I think there's maybe like you can put these together and there will be a car in there. There's obviously some bits that are clearly meant to be for like spaceships, these kind of things here, wings, rockets, that kind of thing. There's just these sort of generic shape pieces here, lots of different connectors, different sort of poles that go with them. So here's the thing, right? You're either going to look at this and say, well, that's all useless. When am I ever going to want to build a big plastic car, or when am I ever going to need any of these sort of shape pieces? Or you're going to look at these and your brain is instantly going to start wondering about how you can use these to build out some cool looking awnings, how you can use them to supplement coaster supports to create interesting raised spaces, or just in general. We are always looking for little generic pieces that we can use in fun ways. You're going to be able to color these into nice sort of coppers and browns and use them in some steampunk builds. All of these will rotate really nicely. They'll make great vents for air coming out of. These here, whilst they are quite blue here, I'm assuming, let's have a look, I'm assuming we can make these into a real nice sort of darker grey, and it gives us a nice option for iron beams. The only real negative I have with all of this is it's a little shiny, obviously, because it's meant to be a plastic toy, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, it'd be nice if it was maybe like a little bit more matte. I think I would find it a little bit more useful. The same sort of problem we have with the art shapes in general. But the standout here for me, I think, is this is a see-through piece. I think it's meant to be for like a cockpit. And give me clear pieces all day long. I'm always finding good uses for them. I think this is a really great piece. The next subset of the toy box pack then is this craft set. And again, I think this is a pretty mixed bag with useful and not useful things. All of these little pieces are lots of fun. Just love great options like that. Look at that. That's an eraser off the top of the pencil. So here, this pencil is actually in 4 separate pieces. So there's the pencil itself. There's the I'm sure this has probably got a real technical name. The little sort of filigree thing, the filament, the filigree. The eraser goes in the top and the pencil goes in the bottom, so you get 4 pieces there. Then there are various different pens with the lids that then go with them. I'm assuming there's a lid that fits this, or maybe one of these scale up, or maybe I missed it when I was placing them all down. There's a crayon that hasn't been used, there's a crayon that has been used. There's these that absolutely threw me back to my childhood. these glue paste brushes, these what they call them, tongue depressors, that are used a lot. Different pots, again, lovely clear piece here that I think can see a lot of use. This is a marble, but a lovely shiny texture that if you're doing anything with like planets or anything, I think this is a real great addition to that kind of stuff. There's half a pair of scissors, obviously you can flip it over and make the pair itself. There's a pencil sharpener, a couple of different paints and paint brushes. I think these are pretty niche. They look great, real great texture on them. There's a little bit like seam along the metal here. But outside of building a giant art thing, I don't know what real use you have for these. Always take little poops. These are always useful for stuff. Always definitely take some poops. There's quite a lot of different palettes, I guess. These can sort of click together. You can place these in here and give them different colors. There's maybe some interesting wall stuff you can do with these, but again, outside of the sort of giant art stuff, I think these are a little bit limited. There's a yo-yo and some string that's pretty neat. There's maybe a noose in there in a Western build or something. Moving on then, these are great. Different decals of paint splatters. These are, as I place them down, these are the colours they come in, but obviously fully recolorable. They give you a nice sort of green ectoplasm slimy thing, and they also look pretty good in red as well for horror or spooky vibes as well. Real great useful set of pieces. There's a single floor tile. It tiles very nicely and you can change the color of it. I think this is going to be quite useful for indoor play areas, or maybe in like a gift shop or something. This is quite a nice idea for flooring. There is a googly eye. I had to do a very terrible impression of Taggy 3D and add it onto a couple of these because I wanted to show you that it's physics based. This googly eye actually wobbles, and it even reacts to yourself wobbling it, which I'll show you. Lots of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff you can do here with this, with the new piece. This comes with the free update today as well. This spring piece, and it's going to be lots of fun things happening with that. There's a new selection of effects. There's, first of all, is this fake fire. I really quite like this because it's a very fake fire, and whilst I think it's meant to look a bit like a cartoon because the smoke and a few of the others are obviously very cartoony, what I like about this actually kind of looks a little bit like the kind of fires you see in a lot of theme parks where it's just sort of fabric with wind blowing at it. So it's a small fan with a light and then yellow and red fabric that sort of flaps and gives you a pretty poor impression of fire, but I actually think that's really great, and I think I can see people using this a lot instead of the actual sort of more realistic looking fire in their dark rides. There's this smoke and this rainbow. I feel like they're quite niche use cases, but they're pretty. There's a new laser that kind of goes out to more of a cone. There are star confetti and then a multicolored star confetti. There is a drop, bloop, and then a splash. They are 2 separate ones, and obviously with a bit of time and patience you could sync those up. So always nice to see FX. Happy to see those. Really like that fire one. The screen that comes on the chest of the new characters is known as Adam, or ADAM, and does come as an individual animatronic as well. You can pick the face. There's about a dozen or so different ones. I've showed a couple off here. These are a couple of just random pieces. Here is probably one of the smallest pieces in the game, or smallest detail piece anyway. This is a new toy. It's going to be great on the shelves of our gift shops. Happy to put those in, and I just had to make a real extra note of this incredible traffic cone. I mean, anything like this, I remember when we got these in studio packs and I was able to go around and delete the traffic cones I'd made with 10 art shapes pieces and replace them with these. There's a few more pieces as well. Traffic lights, traffic cones, there's a few more pieces for roads coming up in a minute. Animatronics then, there are 3 new ones, main character ones at least. There's this sort of alien, and there's the I think it's meant to be like a paramedic and a police officer, perhaps. I'm not too sure. These are all recolorable. I like the fact that this one here looks like it's like the kid has made this out of an old one of these that lost its head. A bit of a Sid from Toy Story vibe going on here to make like a bad guy. And again, all of these have multiple animations. In Planet Coaster 2, yeah, I'm going to have 10 of the same one doing different things. You can just go through the menu and give them a different option. Very much Playmobil style characters. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of these. I think outside of, again, like I said before, this giant toy set, I don't think they're going to be very useful. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but overall, yeah, they're a bit too stylized for me. They also come as individual pieces. I think these might be able to get a little bit more use out of. Perhaps the hats especially I quite like. There's also one of these guys where you press the bottom and he flops down, which is quite fun. And then this guy, the absolute goat of the pack. I'm sorry, this thing is fantastic. A little wind-up robot. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, Max. It's nothing personal, but this is the mascot of the set, as far as I'm concerned. And again, it comes in multiple pieces that you can animate or not. I think he's great. Lots of fun. Okay, moving on. Oh, randomly, there's some tape. I forgot to mention that before. Just sort of tape the cardboard walls together, I suppose. And then we move on to an absolute pile of stickers and sort of scribbles and drawings and what have you. I think I placed all of them down. There might be a few others, though. But you can do the both versions of Max. There's the alien guy you can put together. Then there's loads of different faces. There's a King Coaster. There's a Queen Splash. There's animal faces. There's stickers and drawing. I don't know. Again, a lot of these quite specific. Really, there's probably going to be fun uses for some of them. Perhaps I like some of the more generic sort of spirals and zigzags and stuff. I think are going to be quite useful. And you want to make up some like you got to be this tall to ride type signs, or don't forget to wash your hands type signs. You could do some fun stuff with some of these cartoony things. Yeah, I know some people will come up with some really great uses for these. I think there's also some. Doors, windows, there's quite a few windows actually, and then a few other pieces that again I think are going to be very useful. Some hazard stripe, some checkers there, some chevrons. Barcodes are quite neat, although they don't go very small without scaling mod, but they're quite neat to have. And then just a selection of nice thin strips. I think these are great. The stickers, and then more sort of ruggedy ones. Traffic, pedestrian crossings, traffic square, parking spaces, that kind of thing. Very useful, all of this sort of stuff. We love lots of nice generic stuff. There's also some tree stickers. There are some tree blocks, and then there are blocks without the stickers. These are 3 individual pieces. I've not sort of done this to show you. So the one without anything on it is a piece. The one with a sticker on it is the piece, and then a sticker on its own is a piece. They've also done that with a set of animals. So there's animal stickers. There's the wooden pieces without the animals, and then there's the wooden pieces with the animals printed on them. I won't lie, I feel like this is inflating the piece count a little bit, but saying that, this piece count is quite a bit higher than pretty much any of the DLCs we got in Planet Coaster 1, and from Sorcery Pack I think this is sitting at something like 400 and something, whereas the number is usually around 300 and something. So whilst yes, these do kind of inflate the number a little bit, and the fact that we've got like 20 of these, that number is just a lot higher than it normally would be. So I still think with bang for your buck, you're getting about the same as you have in previous sets. A lot of people very excited about this wood block set. I am also, to an extent, quite excited about this. I think just wood textures in general are lacking in the game, and this is basically something we've asked for a lot, which is art shapes with a texture on them. These do go fairly small. I think we can sort of take these quite small down. Yeah, they don't go down to 5%, but I think they might go down to let's have a look. What do they go down to? 20. So not terrible. Let's just stick down a stone guess to give ourselves a bit of scale. Or in blueprints, I placed some blueprints down at the back there. Okay, we're going off script a little bit here, but okay, there you go. There's a stone guest for you to give you a bit of an idea as to where you can go with these. Oh yeah, it's going to be very, very useful overall, these things, I think. I do wonder whether or not this would have worked well with one of those world textures, similar to how some of the rocks work, where the wood grain itself doesn't change. Because you do kind of see a little bit of repetition, this sort of darker strip that seems to happen along all of them. But for the most part, nice rounded edges. I just think in general, these are going to be very useful pieces that kind of tile, yeah, you kind of get away with that. Yeah, I think very, very useful in general just to have a nice set of wood pieces. And then there's also some painted ones in the shapes of various different cars and what have you, and a wheel for those too. And then a lot of the stickers that we get over here are for those, the box are for those. So windows, car windows, rear lights, front headlights, that kind of thing. And to finish off with, we'll have a look at the blueprints while we talk about the set in general. So, for the most part, I actually think the Toybox set really shines in the ride selection. I think they've really picked some great rides. The parachute tower, whilst a little chunky, is still pretty well scaled and a good family ride. The two coasters are great additions, I think, and it's really great to see the wave sim. Just so they're reminding us they haven't completely forgot about the fact that this game was sold on the back of water parks being added as a new feature. Nice to see them add new stuff to that as well. But the scenery pack in general doesn't really enthuse me that much. It's not that it's done badly, it's just a theme that I think is a little bit limited out of the gate, and it's going to take us a little while to really figure out some of the use cases of the pieces outside of that initial case of Toybox. Now, don't get me wrong, lots of fun. All of this sort of stuff does look really good fun. If you do just want to build a straight up toy area, I think you are going to have a lot of fun building out with this. They're building blocks. It's going to be fun to build stuff with them. I do agree with that, but if you're not looking to sort of do a Toy Story style area, you're really just getting you're kind of getting a bunch of Lego bricks, and to a lot of people that's going to be great. They're going to be very happy with the fact that they've just got some nice generic tubes and clasps and latches and beams, and a couple of these caps and stuff are just going to make nice little new generic pieces to play with. These stamps are really quite nice. And a few of these are really quite useful as well, and I think this wooden block set is probably worth the price of admission for a lot of people who, like me, try and build a little bit more creatively and a little bit more outside of the remit of what the game gives us for the pieces. But overall, I'm not sure this is quite as much of a home run as the Sorcery Pack. I'm always happy for new pieces. I've always said that. Just keep giving me new stuff every 3 months and I will be happy. But I would really love to see another update in the future that maybe has a little bit more presence and a little bit more sense of self. I'd love to see a really great steampunk pack. I think that would be a great addition to the game that again would still be generic enough that it can be used in some adventure or sci-fi or horror or just as a steampunk pack in itself. I feel like this one out of the gate is a little bit limited, and we're really going to have to sort of play around with the pieces to find great uses for them outside of this theme that's on the cover of the box. But still, lots of stuff in here. I think the rides are really good, and the update that that's coming alongside it for free is fantastic. So I do think this one's worth picking up. Let me know in the comments what you think. As always, I will have some build videos out of this set soon. I'm not just doing straight up toy box building though, so it's taking me a little longer, like I said, to kind of figure some stuff out with this. But I'm working on a really great build that uses, in my opinion, really great, that uses a pile of this and the festive scenery that's returned from Planet Coaster 1 as well. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Until the next one, be good.